5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Eat, Sleep, Cry, and Repeat. My name is Ami Meoded from Little One That Care. Together with me, three super women from the US. Lola, actually from Argentina. Deanna, well, she might be from Netherlands. And Brinnae from Michigan. So nice to host you guys here. And the aim of this conversation today with the three of you together, and you will present yourself in a couple of seconds. And the aim of this conversation is to talk about the impact of AI, neural networks, all of these buzzwords on babies' well-being. What are the benefits? What could be the disadvantages, and how parenting can be affected or gets knowledge or value using from AI. So I would like to start with you, Brinnae, since we talked last time, and to present yourself and start to talk what can be or map. Actually, I would like you to map what is actually going on in this area.
Great. Thank you so much, Ami. Hi, everyone. I'm Brinnae. I am a digital health data scientist and managing partner at Edge Analytics, which is a data science and machine learning consulting firm. And then I have a PhD in machine learning from Duke University. So, Ami, some great questions here. A lot of really interesting stuff to dive into. Last week, we talked a lot about AI, what it is. Today, I'll dive into some of the applications of AI. There's so many applications in the space of digital health. Personally, I worked on everything from prediabetes care to heart health to flu detection to helping people walk. And everything in between. And so AI in the digital health community has such power to be able to impact people's lives. And in the baby space, I'll call out one commercial product that is all of these video cameras that are detecting rolling or detecting when a baby coughs at night. This is a really important use of AI in babies that is currently out there and currently being used. And so that's just like a very brief overview of some of the places in this community where AI can be beneficial. And I'll pass it back to you, Ami.
Well, thank you. And I would like right now to start to dig in and ask you, Lola, what is your opinion on that? And I would like you to share with us a little bit about the advantages and disadvantages, the way you see that as sleep experts in the baby area.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I am Lola. I am a pediatric sleep consultant. I am a mother of two. I became a pediatric sleep consultant after experiencing lots of struggles with my first daughter's sleep. One interesting thing for me about my own experience is that I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old, and within those 3 years and a half between them, I saw such a progress and development in the technology around devices, helping parents tracking whatever the baby was doing. So with my first daughter, for example, I didn't even use an audio monitor. We were living in a small apartment. I was not tracking anything. I still keep the notes where I was tracking, her sleep or when she was eating or what she was doing when she was crying. And then suddenly with my second child, I bought a super expensive monitor that was tracking everything: sleep, if I was visiting him during the night, if I was feeding him during the night. And I was already a pediatric sleep consultant back then. So for me, it was really interesting to see all that information. But when you ask, I think it's a very interesting question when you ask about the positives and the cons of incorporating the technology in our parenting. I think it's very important to give the right balance, because of course the positive thing is that parents have all this information, that it's really helpful. For me, what's really helpful to understand, okay, so my child went to sleep last night at X time and then woke up at X time, and then he got X amount of hours. So that was really interesting for me to see. And I was having all this information, but if you don't know what to do with that information, I think is useless, or also it could be negative for the parents because it can be anxiety driven. So it's like, oh, is my baby sleeping enough, and why did he did not sleep the same amount of hours last night than the previous night. So I think it's very important that we help parents use the devices but also understand that data, and we need to understand the development specifically around sleep or other aspects of the baby development, but also to understand to read how we read the babies. Observation and in babies is so important because they really tell us what they need as they grow and as we know them. So I think that those are two, aspects. The positive, and also something that it could be a little bit negative is if it's too much data that we do not help parents manage or understand.
Lovely. So, as if I try to take it from here, Lola speak about the balance and the amount of data, the highly detailed information you can get as a new parent, and you don't know what to do with it by itself. It can bring parents to wrong decisions. So I would like to present you, Deanna, and ask you, well, what do you think about other advantages and disadvantages, and what would you suggest to do with that?
Thanks, Ami. I am a mother of two and a newborn care specialist and postpartum doula in Western New York. I'm excited to be here today to talk about this subject. I think that people find this so intriguing. Um, when we think about the ability to acquire knowledge and then leverage that data in terms of predicting and deciding what our baby needs, like Lola said, babies tell us what they need. So we've been doing this, since the dawn of time, right? But now, because AI technologies can analyze vast amounts of data related to the baby's habits and routines and development, and this data can provide highly personalized insights to parents and help them understand their needs and preferences. And perhaps they will need to bring in professionals to analyze the data as well. But it's just more timely and more effective because babies go through very similar stages, but they don't always present the same way or in the same order or at the same rate as someone else's baby. For example, things that I often guide parents about are how to discern, say, hunger from gas pain cries or physical behaviors, when to extend their wake windows, when to offer an extra ounce of formula. These, change a number of times, quite a few times throughout the first year. So being able to look at this data to give us a real-time detailed picture of that individual baby is really a game changer. On the other hand, I'm a bit old school, and I'm very cautious to defend the power of mothers and fathers' intuition. And I'd hate to see an over reliance on technology by parents or caregivers, because that can result in decreasing our own reliance on our own human intuition. And that could cause a disconnect, I feel. So it's really just important to balance, as Lola said, the use of the AI as a tool. And I compare it much like a pacifier. A pacifier is an artificial prop. It's a great tool. It takes the place of the breasts when mom needs a break or she needs a little help. And that's a really positive thing. It's really helpful as a prop, as a tool. But it can also become a crutch. If it's overused, it can become difficult to remove the pacifier. The longer it's used, it can interfere with the baby's oral health if it goes, much longer beyond the first year. So, yeah, with any tool, there's a need to strike a balance, and that we need. We need to use the tools, but we also need to nurture our babies with our own intuition. You agree?
Well, I really like this answer because, as you said, although pacify is something primitive, but and you don't want to rely on it in the long term, but in the short term, in the day-to-day life, it can be very useful, please the baby, and to support them. I have a question here, and I would like to present it. Jordan asked, how can you tell when you are using tool I will show. I think I can show the question here. Who would like to address Jordan questions? Do you see the question?
I see it. I'm not sure if I understand it. um, Jordan, when you ask, how can you tell when you're using a tool like a crutch? I guess, I mean, I don't know, but I think that Deanna was referring that the crutch of the pacifier, for example, if the baby becomes dependent on it and then he cannot develop other abilities to self-soothe or to soothe in other ways. Babies have such natural abilities, like sucking their own fist and then they suck the thumb, or then I mean, I've even seen babies, sucking their own clothes. So they definitely have the ability to, this capacity of develop abilities that sometimes can be placed in a pacifier, which again is not a negative thing, but it can become a crutch. So I'm not sure if that answers Jordan's question. I'm not sure if he's referring to any other tools that there might be, but I
Well,
think the risk could be there, that something could replace the baby's natural tendency to develop abilities that will be amazing for the baby.
I would like you, all of you, each one of you, found a way to describe and balance the disadvantages and advantages. Well, I would like to ask it in a different way. Can you define a persona that the AI will be too bad, too risky to use, that it will create situation where the person, that this type of person will rely on it too much, or people that whatever you do will never ever use any technology or AI devices? From your experience, from your intuition, what do you think of that? Do you have
Well,
any idea on that?
can you repeat the question? I mean, I think I got lost
Well,
in the.
each one of you described advantages and disadvantages that might be related to new technologies in general and AI as a powerful tool, future powerful tool. I asked a simple question. There are population that might be too, like with the cigarettes or with alcohol. There are population that's supposed to know that if you start drink, you are stuck with it because of a background in your family, or there are population that shouldn't start even, or will be too addictive to something, or will never ever try it because of cultural codes or things like that. Do you have, because you talked about the AI in general, the advantages and disadvantages, do you have any idea or suggestion who would use it or who wouldn't use it because it's too good for him or too bad for them? Am I clear? Do you have any idea on that? Because at the end of the day, part of the people say, "Oh, it's amazing," and other part of people say, "No, it's not." Early adapters always will try and take the risks. But do you have in mind, for instance, parents who all day at home, comparison to parents who used to work 8, 12 hours, or even live in a separate house? For the way I see it, they're going to think of it in different ways. Try to imagine that kind of scenario. What will happen then?
Yeah, you have a great point there. I mean, and I definitely think that in families who live in urban areas or big cities like New York, I think that they do rely on technology a lot more for the reason that you are saying. Many parents work full time, long hours outside the house. They have to rely on nannies or even a daycare to take care of their children. So that's a big factor there. And or even for security reasons, you want to know where your child is all the time and who's taking care of that child, and you want to see your child in the camera and being able to access to all that information from your phone even though you're not at home. So that you have a very good point there, and that's something that we need to acknowledge, is that we know we would like to see babies, living in a community where grandparents are around and uncles are around and family is around, not only to help but also to teach us how to take care of our children. But the truth is that for many, many, many families, that is not the reality. We live, in big cities, away from our relatives. We have to, leave our children under the care of someone else. So I 100% agree that their technology plays such an important factor because it does help us to, access and understand what is going on with our children when we are not with them.
I see. I would like to discuss another thing that we didn't discuss in the last conversation. AI generates a lot of data. The data are in many occasions are personalized if you collect them as personalized data, and the AI can be in the hands of governments, big organization, businesses, or in the hands of the individual. I'm talking about the privacy. I would like to address this question to Brinnae about all the risks in the area where your behavior, your activities, your routine are in the hands of yourself. What is the benefits and the problems with that in the hands of your parents or in the hands of the company that sold you the device or the government? What do you want to say about that?
Thanks, Ami. Yeah, absolutely. And I know last time we talked, we got into data privacy a little bit and, on the what that looks like on the technical perspective and things that, you need to put in place from a technical perspective to ensure that data remains private, use anonymization. We use a lot of techniques when developing these models that will hopefully, keep that data from being in the hands of for nefarious purposes. And so it's really important that, from a technical perspective, as we're building these personalized models, we're very careful about data encryption and anonymization and making sure that our data is private. And from like a personal perspective, we hand our data out all of the time, right? As we are speaking this right now, this is live on the internet. It's going to be in the internet, and AI at some point, it could be next week, it could be next year, is going to scrape the data from this call. And that's going to be incorporated into an AI model more than likely, right? And so every time that we're interacting with a device, with the internet, we are, giving that data freely. And so we have to be very conscientious about that. And those terms and conditions that you kind of scroll all the way to the bottom, and just click the checkbox and move on. Those are hiding a lot of, important details from a personal perspective that you want to go through, and you want to make sure that, your data remains your data and you have control over the data that you want to have control over, especially data that, could be connected in some way to your personal health.
I see. Thank you for this for this answer. And yes, you're totally right. People don't read terms of use. Terms of use might be changed during the use of any software. And I have to say that there are new policies right now that are dealing with respecting the client's needs, clients' not just privacy, general long-term activities, and protecting him from exposure and losing points in front of insurance companies, other future employees that will hire them. It's really important. I would like to address the last question to you, Deanna, and all the rest has to answer it as well. Deanna, the question is simple. We are going to, we at Little One That Care, we are playing with the idea to track how many times a day you kissed your baby in order not to create competition between you and yourself, in order to reflect you how much you are close to your baby, playing with him or even laughing with him. What do you think it will make parents to do, or how it's going to impact their behavior? Because they're going to see at the end of the day, exactly like they see in the Apple Watch how many steps you had today, they will be able to see how many times you kissed or the caregivers kissed your baby. What do you think of that?
That is a wonderful, a wonderful way to pose that question. I would love to see that. That it's a positive spin. We're not telling parents what they missed all day, what they didn't do right all day, how much time they didn't spend, but to shed light on the positive. That would be wonderful. And I think if they had like a diary of that, even like in an app to go back at and look and share the days and look at it as a big picture on a report of how many times they kissed a baby. That would be amazing.
So actually, if you would like to address it and do it quick because we are going to be at the end of the time, the idea is to address parents with things that are not about the baby, about themselves, with their behavior as parents. And the moment you reflect that, it might made the parents to change their habits and behavior. What do you think of that Lola, and then Brinnae will close it as a
Yeah.
fresh mom.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I have to. I guess I have to question that one. I think it's fun on one sense, that it's cute, and probably is something, that in social media will have a great impact. And also, I think that it's the amount of kisses that you give to your baby is such a private thing that should not be put out there as a competence, as a competition between parents. So yeah,
No,
there's
it's not a competition. But you, as when you see in your smartwatch how many steps you had today, it's not a competition. It's just a reminder that you didn't walk today. It's not a competition at all.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll not we don't need a reminder to kiss our babies, right? But no, again, I think it's something really cute. It's the the rules definitely of social media these days.
Well, it's we will see what we're going to do with that. But I would like to ask you that in a different way, Brina. It's tough question. I don't know if you're ready for that. As a young mom, do you know or do you remember yesterday how many times you hugged or kissed your baby?
That's a
Or
great question, Ami. I have no idea how much that I hugged and kissed him, but I'm sure the kisses are probably off the charts, especially yesterday being a vacation day here in the States for July 4th. I was just like cuddling him all day long. It was fabulous. And I think it's such an adorable idea. To Lola's point, probably not something you want to like share publicly with other people, but definitely like, an internal like kudos to yourself as a parent, that you are, spending that really quality time with your baby.
I will tell you something about what we thought. In our case, you can share the information the application create with your uh, parents, with your grandma, with the grandfather, with your mother-in-law. And the moment your mother-in-law will start to track how many kisses you gave to your baby, I think it's worse than the AI tracking you. So I would like to finish the call right now and to thank you for your time, and to use this moment to thank Ryan right now taking care for Bentley, since Brinnae is with us. So Brinnae is like in a quiet environment, but I would like to thank you for that either. And till next week, I would like to thanks everyone for participating in the conversation. I really enjoy that. And next week, we are going to have another conversation with parents from different countries that will compare prices, services, and habits. It's going to be very interesting. Thank you for listening. See you soon.